You went to sleep last night next to a person or in a building full of strangers, and at some point one of them probably snored. You heard it through a closed door, or through your pillow, or right next to your ear. Maybe you nudged them. Maybe you flipped your pillow. Maybe you lay there at 3 a.m. staring at the ceiling and counting the seconds between each rattling breath. Now take all of that away. No walls, no second room, no bed, no door, just you, 20 other people, a low fire, and a dark forest on every side. This is what snoring sounded like for 300,000 years. And what ancient humans actually did about it is not what you would expect. Let's start with the noise itself. Today, snoring is, at worst, a marriage problem, a bad sleep partner, a reason to buy a nasal strip or a separate pillow. In every modern study we run, the worst thing a snorer does is annoy the person beside them. Ancient humans had none of that. No walls, no second room, no closed door between the snorer and anyone who needed to hear the night. A snore in a Pleistocene camp was not a marriage problem. It was a broadcast. A 2017 study published in Proceedings of the Royal Society B looked at sleep patterns in the African hunter-gatherer Hadza and found that traditional human sleep is fragmented by design. Different group members wake at slightly different times across the night. The researchers called it the sentinel hypothesis. There is almost never a moment when every person in the group is fully asleep. The reason is simple. In the dark, sound was the only thing telling you a predator was close, and a steady snore covered it. Snoring is not a small noise. A heavy snore measures 70 to 90 decibels, louder than a vacuum cleaner. In open air, with no walls to contain it, a single snorer in a 20-person camp could be heard 50 meters into the trees. A lion does not need to see you to find you. It needs a continuous rhythmic sound that locates the soft bodies. Which is why every Pleistocene camp we have excavated contains the same object at its center: a hearth. A ring of stones around a fire that burned through the night. The fire pushed predators back from the edge of the camp and gave the sleepers a fixed center to arrange themselves around. Snorers tucked toward the heat, lighter sleepers facing the dark. Modern research on the Hadza confirms the pattern still works exactly that way today. So the snore itself was the problem, but the silence around it was the worse problem. A snore that continued through the night meant the snorer was breathing. A snore that suddenly stopped meant something had silenced it. The tribe was not listening for the snore. The tribe was listening for the gap. Now, the fix. The modern snorer has options. CPAP machines, custom mouthguards, nasal strips, weight loss programs, surgical interventions on the soft palate. Ancient humans had none of those. What they had instead was simpler, and judging by the evidence, more effective. Not always, not for every snorer, but more often than the failure rate of modern devices would suggest. They had each other, and they had the body. The reason humans snore at all is not weakness or weight or bad habits. It is anatomy. Evolutionary biologists have long argued that the same changes that gave humans speech, a dropped larynx and a flexible airway, also made us the snoring species. We are nearly the only mammal that snores in significant numbers. The throat that lets us talk is the throat that vibrates when we sleep. 200,000 years of selection for speech gave us a soft, collapsible airway. The first fix was positional. Most heavy snoring happens when a person sleeps on their back. The tongue slides backward under gravity, the soft palate vibrates, and the noise begins. Modern sleep medicine actually confirms what every grandmother already knew. Side sleeping reduces snoring intensity by more than half in most adults. Ancient sleep was not flat. Ethnographic records describe people sleeping curled on one side, knees pulled in, often with another body at their back as a wall. Rolling onto your back required actively pushing past someone. The body could not assume the snoring position. The second fix was mechanical. Small carved bone and wood pieces shaped to sit between the teeth have been recovered from late Paleolithic sites across Europe and the Middle East, and we have been finding them for over a century. They are functionally identical to the modern dental mouthpieces sold for sleep apnea today. The idea is the same. Push the lower jaw forward a few millimeters. Open the airway. Silence the room. They did not know they were opening the airway. They just noticed who slept quietly with the piece in their mouth and who did not, and they kept making them. And then there's the question of the tribe itself. Modern surveys put the regular snoring rate around 25% of adults, and another 45% snore occasionally. In a Pleistocene group of 30 people, that meant 7 to 10 members were producing detectable snores on any given night. A reasonable assumption is that ancient humans treated chronic snorers as a burden, slept them at the edge, or excluded them. The ethnographic record suggests something more interesting. Ethnographic accounts of modern hunter-gatherers, especially the Hadza of Tanzania, describe sleep arrangements where people lie in concentric loose rings. Children and the loudest sleepers go near the center, closest to the fire. The lighter sleepers and the older members of the group sleep on the outside, facing the dark. Here is the uncomfortable truth. The snorer is not banished. The snorer is protected. The logic is simple. The snore will attract the predator. The predator will reach the edge first. So the snorer goes where the predator cannot reach without going through somebody else. Robin Dunbar, the British anthropologist who developed the famous theory about the maximum size of human social groups, has long argued that the upper limit of a stable human group, around 150 people, is set by the cognitive cost of tracking everyone's habits. That includes who snores and how badly. In groups that small, you knew exactly who made which noise at night. The information was not used for cruelty. It was used for placement. On the outside edge of the ring, facing the trees, was the figure researchers later called the sentinel, the light sleeper, the one whose job was not to sleep deeply, but to listen. When the snoring stopped for too long in the dark, the sentinel was the one who reached over and woke the snorer up, not to silence them, to check that something else had not silenced them first. Your body, right now. This is where it gets strange. Modern sleep medicine has a finding nobody talks about much. The snorer wakes up less than the person beside them. Decades of bed partner research show that the partner of a chronic snorer actually loses up to 1 full hour of sleep every night, while the snorer themselves sleeps through it unaware. The system is asymmetric in exactly the way a sentinel system would be. Modern epidemiological research has shown that roughly 1 in 4 adults has clinically significant snoring at some point in their life. None of those people are being eaten. There are no lions in the apartment. There is nothing in the bedroom tonight that has not been there for the last 6 hours. And yet your nervous system still hears a snore the way it heard a snore in a cave. As a problem, as an alarm, as something to wake up for. Press your lips together for a moment and breathe through your nose only. That choice, nose and not mouth, was the difference between dying first and dying last. Here is what stays with me about all of this. We treat snoring as a defect, a flaw in the body, something to be fixed with a strip, a mouthpiece, a machine, or a surgery. The throat narrows, the soft palate flutters, the noise leaks out, and we apologize for it the next morning the way we apologize for breaking something. But for 300,000 years, the snore was not a defect. It was a signal. It told the rest of the tribe that the body next to them was breathing, asleep deep enough into sleep to be vulnerable. A snore that continued through the night meant the snorer was safe. and so was the camp. A snore that stopped meant something had moved in the dark. Mothers slept through their own baby's breathing and woke at the first hitch in it. Partners slept through each other's steady rhythm and woke when the rhythm broke. The body learned to listen to other bodies for survival. We inherited that hardware. The reason a partner's snore drives you out of bed at 3 a.m. is not that the sound itself is intolerable. It is that some part of your nervous system is still scanning the rhythm of someone you love for the first interruption. This matters more than it sounds. The vigilance is older than your relationship. It is older than your language. It is the oldest social skill humans ever developed, and it never turned off when the lions left. Researchers studying contemporary hunter-gatherers describe traditional human nights as a kind of distributed responsibility. No single person watched the dark. Everyone watched a little. The snorer broadcast that they were still here. The lighter sleeper listened for the silence between broadcasts. The system was the village. Your ancestors did not snore because they were broken. They snored because being heard was the price of safety in a world without walls. And the same body that is annoyed by your partner snoring tonight is the body that once kept the tribe alive by listening for the gap.